everyone, I'm Selena Hill, and this is the new norm on Black Enterprise, sponsored by Cadillac, where I speak to dynamic leaders, entrepreneurs, and public figures about their latest projects and the impact they're making in today's world. Today, I have the privilege to speak with the Minister of Trade, Industry, and Competition of South Africa, the Honorable Parks Tau, who is currently here in the U.S. for the UN General Assembly. Minister, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much, Selena, and good day.
Yes, so as I mentioned, you are here for the UN General Assembly. Can you talk about some of the goals and outcomes you are hoping to achieve during this trip?
Well, firstly, we are here for the General Assembly led by the President of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, and he's engaged at both the Summit of the Future and at the UN General Assembly, articulating a message from South Africa about matters related to global governance, matters related to sustainability, climate change, and our collective responsibility as the global community of nations to address these challenges and to find solutions to the development challenges of the world. But we've also used this opportunity to engage with business in particular. We had a session at which we were talking about critical minerals and the role that South Africa plays in that regard. We have a significant part of the critical minerals in our country, and we're looking at finalizing a strategy around critical minerals linked to our industrialization actions as a country, both in relation to the digital economy, but also in relation to climate change and resilience. And that would take advantage of opportunities in the battery saving technology, in new electric vehicles technologies. We're looking at the establishment of a green hydrogen facility in the country. In fact, two of those, and we've got leading technology in the country with regards to hydrogen production. So it's about converting the energy sources and taking advantage of certain parts of the country that have very good radiation, in fact, comparable to any part of the world, if you think about it, with regards to radiation uh, and the ability to access the wind power technology. So it's both solar and wind technologies that would be driving our green hydrogen initiative. So this is an opportunity to look at that and say, well, we've got the abundance of resources, we've got the appropriate weather conditions, and this is an opportunity to accelerate our economic growth efforts.
Minister, can you talk about your effort to boost relations between South Africa and the US and some of South Africa's trade benefits?
We've engaged, amongst others, with colleagues in the US, both the administration and Congress. In fact, last week, Thursday and Friday, when we landed in the US, we landed in Washington, D.C., to engage with the administration and Congress, amongst others, to look at the bilateral engagements between South Africa and the US and to resolve certain issues that had been outstanding in the agricultural sector. Uh, since my last visit in July, now we've made significant progress in addressing some of the issues that our colleagues in the US raised. We are also here talking about the Africa Growth Opportunity Act, AGOA, and what that provides in terms of opportunities for the African continent, but or in particular sub-Saharan Africa, but also for South Africa. Uh, and we've had fairly productive discussions in that regard, and we think that this should expand our opportunities as we engage with the US and companies in the United States of America.
Can you also to talk about? I know you said there's been a lot of progress. We know that there have been some concerns over the strained relationship between South Africa and the U.S. So we're happy to hear that progress is being made. But can you talk about just some of the tension? I read that South Africa, some U.S. officials perceived South Africa as having an alignment with Russia, and like there were reports of potential arms smuggling to Russia. How do you respond to US lawmakers who are apprehensive about strengthening relations between the White House and South Africa?
And that's been part of our engagement with the US. Firstly, to affirm and restate the fact that we are non-aligned as a country. We've maintained a position of non-aligned. Our foreign policy is based on non-alignment. It is also based on human solidarity. We think it's important as a country that comes from an era of segregation, oppression, and discrimination. We do hold to heart the values of human rights, not just in our own country, but throughout the world. And we will speak out on these matters. I think it's important that we add our voice to those nations that say that we need to address human rights related issues. So our message has been to reaffirm really that South Africa is non-aligned, that in fact some of the issues that have been raised have been clarified. Our president even established a judicial commission of inquiry to assure that in fact the allegations of trading in arms with Russia are disproved, and the Commission of Inquiry disproved those. And we're able to share that with the US government. So, notwithstanding the fact that the allegations were made at quite a high level, we took it upon ourselves to ensure that we have an independent process. So it's not an issue where you say, well, South Africa has given us an answer, we're not sure about it. We went through a process that's objective, that's verifiable, that's able to demonstrate that. And we need to ensure that we reaffirm that message of non alignment.
Minister, looking ahead, what role do you foresee for South Africa in shaping trade policies at a global level, particularly through platforms like the World Trade Organization and the G20?
Well, firstly, talking about G20, we are assuming the presidency of G20 in November this year, in fact. So that places a great responsibility on us as a country to actively participate and lead on matters of global trade, of investment. It is an opportunity not just for us, but it's the first that we're having on the African continent. Therefore, we'd be able to send a message not just about ourselves, but about an entire continent that has just adopted the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, and we're trading on the basis of a free trade platform in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And that's an opportunity that would be able to present to the world to look at Africa as a consolidated industrial base that has the potential to grow exponentially as we're taking advantage of trade opportunities between ourselves and our sister countries on the continent. So we see that as a great opportunity, and G20 is happening at an opportune time in this regard because it kind of focuses the world and issues around the economy on South Africa and on the African continent. On the on the World Trade Organization, we are an active participant in the World Trade Organization. We have been reinforcing a message on the need to stabilize the governance arrangements in the World Trade Organization and ensuring that we're able to address some of the delays in agreeing on certain matters, particularly where there are disputes. We think that it's important that those issues are resolved, and all of us, as members of the WTO, have a responsibility to ensure that we contribute positively to stability in the environment in the World Trade Organization. But we're also taking advantage of the mechanisms that are available in the WTO, including in instances where we have concerns about trade matters that we declare disputes. We've recently had to declare dispute with regards to particular matters in the agriculture sector so that we're able to resolve those. And we think that these global governance mechanisms in relation to trade are important, and that as countries we need to ensure that we reinforce the system and we all work on compliance.
Minister, when folks think of South Africa, a lot of people are seeing rising stars, global stars in like Tyler and Trevor Noah. What else would you say South Africa is contributing to just the global economy and just globally when it comes to the beauty of South Africa, the culture, the celebrities? What else should the world know about South Africa?
Well, firstly, I think it's important to state that we have a fairly quite stable environment with regards to economic policy, industrial policy, but also in terms of the instruments that you have at your disposal. We've got South Africa's largest stock exchange located in Johannesburg, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, operating at a level that is at par with our counterparts in OECD countries. So we think that's important. The rule of law is reaffirmed and reinforced in our country. We've got fairly strong capital markets in our country that are able to withstand, even in certain instances, major challenges. So we've got an economy that's functional, the systems are in place, and it's now about the opportunity, taking advantage of those systems and ensuring that we're able to get development in place. We also home to a significant part of the critical minerals that contribute to global value chains, and we think that production and manufacturing at source or closest to source as possible is important. That's how we position ourselves as a country, and would be building that capability and capacity, but also attracting investors that can take advantage of this opportunity. So we're poised for growth. We've spent the past 5 years addressing structural issues in our economy and ensuring the structural reforms take place in a number of sectors. And I think that having addressed those, including stability in governance, stability in our state owned enterprises, attracting private capital to be able to co invest in some of these initiatives around energy, around ports and logistics, is a great opportunity for us to use as growth in our own country, but also as a platform to be able to attract investors in addressing this, but also creating a greater certainty in terms of the investment climate in South Africa.
Minister, we know you don't have a lot of time today, but we thank you so much for making time for us here on Black Enterprise during your trip to the UN. Thank you for the work that you're doing, and we will continue to follow you and support you.
Thank you very much, Selena, and have a good day.
Thank you.